Right, so I like to say Barak Hawa, Barak Hawa Shah, Barak Hawa, Barak Hawa Shah, Bahashim Makahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutation to you brothers out there that's doing his work and truth and sincerity. So you can see different nations are having hypersonic missile capabilities, right? There was an article I read. Well, I looked at the title of it, and it said that the U.S. is rushing their hypersonic missiles. That's why it's having problems. Right here, North Korea launched a second hypersonic missile and fiery test. It says, January 6th, North Korea fired a hypersonic missile this week that successfully hit a target, states news agency KCNA reported on Thursday, a second such test as the country pursues new military capabilities amid stall denuclearization talks. The launch on Wednesday was the first by North Korea since October. I believe China just tested a missile as well. I'm not going to say that it was a hypersonic missile. I believe it was a missile. That's an article I'm going to have to find. I ran across it, but I totally forgot to save it. But these nations are consistently testing missiles, man, and they're upgrading to now what they call hypersonic missiles. And we went into this last Saturday at camp that a hypersonic missile can move as Mach 5. Mach 5 means that the hypersonic missile can move 1 mile per second, man. 1 mile per second. That is fast as hell. That's why the scriptures tell you that this place is going to be destroyed in an hour. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. In 1 hour. This is Revelations 18 and 10, right? It says, actually, let me start at 1. It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and Babylon is America today, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye may be not partakers of her sin, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Now, to come out of America doesn't mean to pack up survival gear, hop on a Greyhound and leave America. That's not going to happen, right? When it's talking about coming out of her, it's coming out of her mentally, right? And another way that Israel, which is the elect, is going to come out of this place is by way of the chariots. And it says, again, verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquity. And if you go back to the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 8, it says, For the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, and he shall destroy it from off the face of the earth. Right? It says, For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Revelations 18:5. This is verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she had filled to her double, right? And this place is going to be destroyed by what? By World War III, which is going to consist of thermonuclear missiles. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For stronger the Lord power who judges her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So this place is going to be laid desolate. And this is what these nations are preparing for. They're preparing for all-out thermonuclear missiles. That's why you constantly have this military, military, what's the word? Military training happening almost on a day-to-day basis, man. From North Korea, from Russia, from China, from Turkey, right? Which Turkey is still buying up missiles, right? This is why the U.S. is trying to upgrade their missile capability, because it's going to be all-out war, like the scripture says in the book of Revelations, chapter 11, verse 14. It says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." Right? So these nations, they're not weak anymore, man. Right? These nations have missile capabilities, and the U.S. was trying to control these nations, right? By denuclearizing them. It was said a few years back that they had a U.S. reporter go to North Korea to prove that North Korea destroyed all their nuclear sites. But guess what? The sites that they destroyed was all old nuclear sites, while they still had new nuclear sites up and built, still testing thermonuclear missiles. So no, man, America has become weak, right? America has become weak. The script, what does the scripture say? The nation says, has thou become as us, right? Let me see what that said. Actually, let's get that. Let's get that. What is that, Obadiah? Right. So Obadiah 1:1, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord, power concerning Edom. Who is Edom? The so-called white man. That's a fact. You cannot get around that. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. So these nations are going to rise up, and they have been rising up against America, right? There's so many articles, right? So many alternate news you can go to, right? There's many of them that talks about um, the conflict between Russia and the U.S. and these other nations that have conflict with the U.S. as well. You got to remember all of the death that U.S. have brought to the Middle East. You think these people don't remember that or recall any of these things? Come on now. That was a YouTube video that I was watching, a small clip where a U.S. Media, some guy that works for the media went out to, I want to say, Pakistan or something like that, and he told the U.S. citizen, the Pakistani told the U.S. citizen, he said the U.S. is a terrorist country. He said they are a terrorist country. I don't know if brothers saw that, but it was on a little small YouTube clip. So these nations, right? This is what they're preparing for. They're preparing for all-out thermonuclear war with the U.S. A lot of people is about to die, man. You know, you can see that these nations are having conflict with the U.S. on a resource base, on resource basis, because with China and the U.S., they just had what, and I believe it's still in effect, but they just had a tariff war, man. Tariff, which is taxes put on goods that's being imported and exported. Right. So let's keep going. It says, Obadiah 1:1, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord, power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So, America is despised, right? But my point is wanting to get to where the nation says, has thou become as weak as us? Right, so like it. This is the book of Isaiah 14:10. It says, let me start at 9. It says, hell from beneath moved Hell from the beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones of the kings of nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So this is what's happening to this place, right? This was going back into the unto Babylon, but during these times, it's going into America, right? That's why it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?" Heaven being rulership, not literal heaven, where the Father and the Son dwells. That don't even make sense, right? Lucifer, meaning the light bearer, who holds the light, Esau, Edom. All the information that you people go to, you go to his information for. You click right on Google, right? Right, because that light represents what? That light represents, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And the first thing you go to for that is who? His libraries. I mean, Salakia is what? His libraries, right? His computer, his Google, right? He holds the light. Lucifer, the son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaketh the nation? So you're gonna tell me Hellboy is going to these nations, weakening them? No, it's talking about Esau, Edom, which is the so-called white man, which have weakened the nations, right? But now it's becoming weak as the nations, and the reason why that is being said is because now nations have nuclear capabilities, and America's financial structure is collapsing on them. What kept their strength up is their financial structure, because all nations, the majority of the nations, use the US dollar, right, which is now collapsing. But this is what's coming. These nations are testing hypersonic missiles. So let's keep reading here. It says the launch on Wednesday was the first by North Korea since October and was detected by several militaries in the region, drawing criticism from governments in the United States, South Korea, and Japan. North Korea first tested a hypersonic missile in September, joining a race headed by major military powers to deploy the advanced weapon systems. Hypersonic weapons usually fly towards target at lower altitudes than ballistic missiles, can achieve more than 5 times the speed of sound, or about 6,200 kilometers per hour, 3,850 miles per hour. Despite their name, analysts say the main feature of hypersonic missiles, Salakia weapons, is not speed, which can sometimes be matched or exceeded by traditional ballistic missile warheads, but their maneuverability. And Wednesday test, a hypersonic gliding warhead detached from its rocket booster and maneuvered 120 kilometers, 75 miles, literally before it precisely hit a target 700 kilometers, 430 miles away, KCNA reported. The missile demonstrated its ability to combine military Salakia, multi-step glide, jump, flight, and strong lateral maneuvering, KCNA said. The test also confirms components such as flight control and its ability to operate in the winter, KCNA added. So, it's a beautiful article which is keeping us updated with these nations, building these hypersonic missiles, which lets you know their capability, or like Apocalypse said, their powers, right? Their powers is becoming stronger. And it's all through the will and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. But Lord willing, this is edifying. I like to say Barak Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Shalom.